Hello and welcome to Talking Live. I'm Dr. Robi Ludwig right here in Star Shop Studio in Times Square. And I am so thrilled to have Carol Alt. She is a supermodel. She is a New York Times best-selling author. You have like what?
No, it was USA Today best-selling author.
Oh, okay.
Actress.
Multiple
philanthropist.
books. Entrepreneur. And
how many more slashes can you fit in there?
I know, but you managed to do it. And when I was doing some research on you, it was very interesting to hear that this was not your chosen career initially.
No.
You had a very different idea in mind for yourself.
Completely different.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with beauty or health or fashion or anything. No, I was in Army ROTC. My father was in the military. My brother went to West Point, and I was trying to get a scholarship through the Army to go to school at Hofstra to law school. So I was hoping to be the first female JAG.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah, back in the day, that would have been the first female.
Yes. So what got you interested in law back then?
Well, my mother looked at me one day and she said, well, either you're going to be a lawyer or an actress, but that mouth of yours is going to do something, I'm sure. And so I was that opinionated even back then.
And your mom was also a model.
She was a showroom model.
Which is a lot different actually than what you do.
Yeah, well, some things are different, some things are the same. I mean, when she saw that I was making the phone call, because really what happened was my boyfriend broke up with me. And I thought, I don't want to be on Long Island when this guy gets back from where? Hello, West Point.
Yeah.
I was dating a military guy. And I thought, I just don't want to be here when he gets home. So I called to the agency, and I remember my mother saying, it's lunchtime standing, you're going to have to lose so much weight, because I was very chunky. You're going to have to lose so much weight, and you're going to be working like crazy. And she didn't realize that fueled me. That was really what I was looking for. I was looking to distract myself, to make a few dollars in case I didn't get the scholarship to help my father pay for my education, because he had 3 daughters in college at the same time.
You really are exactly what most people dream of happening. You were discovered while you were a waitress, right? You were waitressing and someone said you should really be a model.
Right, I told him to quit bugging me. I took his number, I put it in my apron, and then I washed my apron. But he gave me the best advice anybody ever gave me, and I tell that to all girls who want to model. I say, never call a photographer. Because he was a photographer. His name was Bert Rockfield. And Bert said, no, don't call me. I want you to call an agency. If you're going to do this, do it legitimately. And the only legitimate way to do this is with an agent and with an agency. Because, you can get yourself into a lot of trouble if you go directly with a photographer somewhere.
Absolutely. And in fact, it's a tough business in the sense that there's no human resource department. So there are girls who are vulnerable to, being asked to do things that they don't want to do.
I think it's the most desperate people who seem to get into the most trouble. Not saying that good girls don't get into trouble, because when somebody is conniving and you're immature or young and you don't know they're being conniving, you can get into trouble. But if you're so desperate to make it that you'll do anything, that can be a real problem. I always tell everybody, always have a plan B. My plan B, if modeling didn't work, actually modeling was my plan B. My plan A was to go to law school. Plan B actually was the one that ended up working out the best, although I did get my scholarship. But yeah, you always have a plan A and a plan B. That's how come I did so well on The Celebrity Apprentice.
Yes.
Because I always had a plan B.
And so what was your mindset as you were going through that process?
Well, really for me, I was a real loner. I worked, in studios by myself. I did my movies, which, of course, you're always in your room and you're studying and you're working the part. And so I was a real loner. And I thought I would really like to see how other people do this. How does somebody else run a entrepreneurial business that is in entertainment? Because by then I was doing my skincare line, and I was I did my posters and my calendars, which the agency did not want to do.
And we actually have just a few of the covers you were on, because you've done over 700 covers, magazine covers.
So they say.
And you were voted
I don't know.
as the most beautiful woman in the world according to Playboy.
Oh yeah.
And the $1 million face.
Yes, the face.
So you really have had just a lot of experience in this area.
Although I wanted to be the body. That was Elle Macpherson. I was like, come on, the body is so much better.
And Elle Macpherson still looks really rockin'.
Yeah.
But I love how you're so honest and really accessible. And you talk about how you didn't really consider yourself gorgeous. You were a tomboy.
Yes.
And
obviously, I was in the military. I was about to run 10K with bricks on my back. So.
Did they tell you were too pretty to be in the military?
No. Nobody ever told me anything like that.
Did your parents tell you, oh my God, you're so gorgeous?
My mother said, all my girls are beautiful.
Well, you do have pretty sisters.
My sisters are gorgeous. And of course, my younger sister was the first premier large size model. So she opened that door for many other girls to come after her. But, you know, when you are 5'8" and you're in 6th grade, you don't feel beautiful because the guys don't ask you out. You know, they're intimidated and they're short. They don't grow until they're 15 or 16.
And it's hard to be different, too, when you're younger.
Oh, yeah, you want to fit right in. But I was tall and kind of lanky and, you know, the best thing that ever happened to me was my mom threw us into ballet school. Because when you're tall and you can't, you know, your brain doesn't make it all the way out to your fingertips and to your feet because it's so far away. So the ballet really helped to coordinate me and things like that. So that when I grew into my height, when it became an asset, I was able to, you know, utilize it.
You tell a funny story about your dad in terms of modeling when you got your first check.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And you thought something bad had happened. And what he said to you about your sister, I thought was so funny. It would have happened in my house.
Well, what happened was, you know, I had been working with the agency. I was the new girl. And, you know, you're working along and you're not getting paid. And you're just putting in vouchers and you're going your merry way. So I'm living off my waitress tips. So I come home one day and I'm rushing because I have to get out to my what was my day job, really, was my waitressing job. And my father had this look of horror on his face. I mean, he was pale and he was like, he came to the door like this. And I'm like, Daddy, what's the matter? And he's like, and he just hesitated to hand me this piece of paper. I'm like, what is that? He goes, it's from the agency. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they fired me. I'm not working hard enough. I'm working so hard. Why would they fire me? He goes, you better open it. And I'm like, I don't want to open it. And I open it up. I'm like, oh, it's my check. He goes, that's as much as a rookie fireman makes in a year. I was like, cool. He goes, you think you could take your sister Christine? I mean, she's so much prettier than you are.
Oh my
you can
goodness.
do it. Can you imagine what she could do? And in essence, you know, I have to qualify that because back in the day, I mean, I hit my 40th anniversary this year, but back in the day when
it's hard to believe because you look so young, even close up.
I just can't believe that time has gone by so quickly.
I know.
But my sister Christine was the quintessential model. She was blonde-haired, blue-eyed, fair-skinned. I was olive-skinned, dark hair, dark eyes. I had crooked teeth. She had the straightest teeth in the history of time. The only thing I had over her was that I was very small-boned. So once I put my mind to losing the weight, it was like, boom, 50 pounds. For Christine, it was like she was starving to death.
Yeah.
She was a very big-boned girl. It wasn't that she was overweight at all, but you know, you have to fit in a certain size 4, and it was really, really hard for her. But when she became a large-size model, that really suited her well. But now she went back to college and she got her degree, and she works in a law office, and you know, she's really my hero because I really don't know if I would have the discipline, or maybe it's more the desire to go back to law school right now.
Yeah.
Although all my lawyer friends love sending me stuff to read and getting my opinion on it because they're like, you should have been a lawyer, because I have that kind of logical
That's
mind.
my fantasy job. People ask me, what is your fantasy job? Because I really like what I do. And I said, being a defense attorney or prosecuting attorney seems like it would be fun.
See, for me, it's more business law because,
okay.
you know, if somebody's life was in my hand, I don't know if I'd be able to sleep at night. But I do like reading through contracts and saying, well, wait, you should do this and just make sure of that. The other day, my friend sent me the constitutional law on taxes. So I read through it. I said, okay, I read through this, but what about this argument? And he was like, you know what, I have to like think about that now. That's kind of interesting. But right now I'm in a city that's having riots, so I need to like focus on my safety first.
You're so smart. I don't know if
I don't know if
everyone
I
knows.
am.
No, I think you are. I think you are. You also
Listen,
have
if I
your
was that
doctorate.
smart, I wouldn't have been in this business to begin with.
I mean, listen, it's very appealing on many levels, and you've turned it into a successful business, which is hard. And you were the first person to come out with posters.
Yeah.
That was not done back in the day.
John literally fired me. John Casablancas from Elite, we were at lunch and he stood up and walked out on me, and I turned to his second in command, Monique Pilar, and I said, well, how do I do this if you guys won't do it? And she said, you have to hire a lawyer. So I don't know if you remember the Boz, the football player, the Boz.
I don't.
Okay, there was a football player back in the day. He was super popular. He had this mohawk and he did movies and everything. I mean, he was, before The Rock and all of these other athletes that became, but his name was the Boz. And the Boz had a manager named Gary Wissard. And so I hired the Assistant District Attorney of New York, my friend Steve Gustine, and we reached out to the Boz to get who he was working with, and that guy did my posters and calendars. Once they were done and they were selling like hotcakes, like who would have thought? I mean, I just did it because I wanted to continue working in this business. And by 23, 24, 25, you're a has-been back then. So I just wanted to continue working. So the whole agency did it with everybody. All the girls got a calendar and a poster, and then a few of us got calendars.
You must feel really good about that.
I do. I started
a
a
trend.
industry. Yeah. Because you weren't a supermodel if you didn't have a poster. And then when I came up with the idea for the calendar, all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, you're going to be in the Elite calendar." I said, "In the Elite calendar? No, I want my own calendar." So I called Steve. I said, "Call Gary," and I made sure for me, it's like being the first to do something. That's what's more interesting. Being the creative, like thinking of new things to do and different ways to continue my career. Because my father said to me, he said, "Listen, you're done at 25. Don't, buy 5 houses and 50 pairs of shoes, and you have to it's not what you can buy, it's what you have to upkeep."
So your dad's very pragmatic.
My dad was a fireman
You must
in the
be
South
good at
Bronx.
money.
He was very sharp guy. My mom too. My father said I wouldn't have a pot to piss in if it wasn't for your mother.
Aww.
So I come from very frugal people who are very, very conscious. They're very aware.
And do you think that's helped you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's nothing better than being a fireman's daughter. Really, I would not want to have any other upbringing. I would not want to be a rich man's daughter.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, no,
Why not? I'm still waiting to be adopted by somebody very wealthy.
No.
I think it's too late for me.
No,
it's
never too late.
It's too late to be adopted, but
Put it out
anyway.
into the universe. It's
Right.
never too late.
Maybe somebody's desperate enough. Call me.
No, see that doesn't start my engine at all.
Yeah.
I like I don't know. I like creating. I like creating new things, doing new things, forging ahead where nobody's forged before, where people say, "Oh no, don't go there, it's too dangerous." That's where I go.
That's where the fun is for you.
Well,
is that how you got into acting?
Yeah, because they were like, models can't act.
Yeah.
Back in the day, if you were a model, you didn't act, and if you were an actor, you didn't model.
Right.
And the one who broke through that was Jamie Lee Curtis.
Oh.
She did Hertz right after she did Halloween. So she had a hit movie out and a hit commercial. That was like 1988, 89. Because you saw like Stallone going to Japan to do whatever coffee commercial or deodorant commercial. They would not do anything in the United States. Now they're shameless.
Due to overexposure,
everybody does everything,
right? There was how do you think modeling has changed today? And do you think there's something about modeling that makes women self-conscious about aging, about their looks?
That's a complicated question, and you've asked like 3 questions in a row. First of all, what has changed about modeling? Everything.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can imagine, I would have to find a telephone on a corner to call my agent, and the photographer would shoot 36 in a roll of film and maybe shoot 10 rolls of film. I remember the first time I went into the studio and there was digital and they had a computer. We shot 5 shots. The guy was like, "This is the one I like. Next." I mean, you could work 4 hours and do 4 times as much as what we were doing in 12 hours. So the turnover is very quick, very fast. It's a fast moving. And at one point, my agent called me and said, you know you're overexposed. You're on the front of Mademoiselle, you're for the cover. You're on the back of Mademoiselle with CoverGirl. You've got the New York Times, the Fashion of the Times. You're in the, you just have to take time off. And I thought, well, how do I take time off? I'm an 18-year-old kid who, didn't finish college, basically. I have no other hobby. This is my hobby. So they said, well, maybe we'll call Calvin and Ralph, and you can walk a show. Would you walk for $750? I mean, at one point in the 90s, I turned down $50,000 a show because I didn't want to insult two designers who would both ask me to walk their show. For me, it was better, you couldn't walk both. Now, anything goes. I closed 2 shows just this past Fashion Week. There's so much out there that in order to make a ripple, you really have to drop a boulder in the pond.
So you think it's harder now to make a name for yourself?
To make a ripple, because there's so many people out there. There's so many shows. Everybody who has a camera has a show, has a this, has a that. You know what I mean? It's like, and we're all doing each other's shows.
Right. I actually have a picture of us when you were, I don't know what they call it, the lead model for Dennis Basso.
Oh, yeah, yes. I was a testimonial.
Yes, I have it somewhere. I think we have it somewhere there.
And this past season, I closed for Adrian Eliseo, and I closed for Zhang Toi for his 30th anniversary. But yeah, it's spit them up, chew them out, next, and there's nothing. There's no overexposure.
Yeah.
I mean, people do everything.
I know.
And there's no real stars in the sense that, back in the day they were very elegant. The studio controlled everything, and I still have that mindset. I told you before, I said, I really want to shut down my Instagram and my Twitter.
I know, which I'm a little sad about, because I like reading about what you're doing.
I know,
and
it just feels so intrusive. And by the way, it's a heck of a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
For what kind of return?
Yeah, that I don't, yeah.
It's not like I'm going to sell my Instagram so that all the people following me have to watch all my ads.
Right.
No, I want the people who are following me to enjoy what I'm doing, but it's a constant thing.
Can people find you? Because you're in a lot of different places. You're
Yes.
on Home Shopping. You are promoting.
Right,
and
I did a movie
with
this summer. I have
Right.
the Carol Alt's Living Room on FNL, which is now on everything, Hulu, Roku, everything.
And you have books out
And
there.
books out there on health and nutrition. I'm speaking at the Truth About Cancer conference this Friday.
Oh, wow.
In fact, and you can see that at the ttac.com.
If we also put a link up, well, you'll give me all the,
I will give you all the
links, and
information.
we'll also have a link up for your website, because I love following your blog, and I want to talk about health, because when I was reading about earlier in your career, when you tried to lose weight and then you got to a certain point, and how you really didn't, right now we really know you for being healthy and for raw foods and just being very knowledgeable. You have your doctorate.
Yes,
also
I have a PhD.
A PhD.
Honorary PhD.
Okay,
It's
in
still
alternative health.
PhD, I guess.
Still
but
Dr.
yeah.
Carol today.
Yeah, it's still,
yes.
Yes,
And
Dr. Robi.
Yes, exactly.
Doctor.
Doctor, yeah. But you, at one point, I was reading earlier, and I was like, oh my God, that sounds like me now. Like taking pills to go to sleep, caffeine to wake up, and you really changed everything around by learning about the raw diet.
Well, I have to thank my friend Stephen Cantor and my first doctor, who really was my guru, Dr. Timothy Brantley. He really explained raw foods to me and how foods worked in the body, the pathology of food, and taught me how to diagnose people by, you could look in their face, scoliology and iridology, which of course is the eye. Scoliology is reading the skin. He just taught me everything. It was just so fascinating to me. It was just literally fascinating. But the fact that I could control things, that I could lose weight, gain weight, I could feel bad or feel good, I could slow my body down so I would sleep, and I could speed it up so I could wake up. That kind of control. Because as I told you, I lost 50 pounds to model, and I did it in the way wrong way. And I wasn't eating, and I was miserable, and I was like, to work was like all the time, because I wasn't eating enough, and sinus infections and all kinds of stuff. And now, when people say, oh, all of a sudden this, the accumulation of everything you do to your body. So if you don't want that, it's easy enough to get rid of it, but it needs a little discipline, and that's what's lacking today. People really don't want to have to be disciplined. But for me, you can anti-age. Like, aging is an inflammatory disease. And you can anti-age, you can gain your health back, you can look fabulous, you can run circles around your girlfriends if you do just tweaks. It's just sometimes just tweaks.
So,
but you have to know what the tweaks are.
Yes. So you really think about food as like a medicine for the body in terms of healing.
Absolutely.
And really we need to think of ourselves like a Ferrari, you write in one of your blog articles, which
Yes.
I thought was absolutely brilliant. And certainly, from the midlife space, and I wrote a book called Your Best Age Is Now, you tend to think of your body differently. When you're young, you don't realize.
Well, I think when you're young,
I didn't really realize.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
No, you're right. I think when you're young, you think you're immortal.
Yeah.
You think nothing's going to happen. Oh, look at that person. Oh, that's never going to. But as you get older and things have happened to you throughout your life, and you gain more life experiences, you realize the things that can happen. That all of a sudden, one day you're running and you can't breathe.
Right.
All of a sudden.
Or you have an ache that won't go away for a few months.
Or, you get gray hair. Like, what is that? Or you get a wrinkle. When those life experiences start happening, you start saying, well, wait. Either I like this and I'm just going to go with the flow, or I'm going to fight this every step of the way.
Yeah.
I made the decision 25 years ago to fight it every step of the way and to teach other people how to fight this. I consider myself the godmother of all of these silly diets, because I came out with you need to eat as much raw as possible and nutrition yourself, and now all of a sudden there's tons of other diets. But
I think one of the problems too, and I want you to help walk us through what the raw diet is, so that if somebody wants to incorporate the raw diet into their food and into their diet, they can do that.
Well, it's really not a diet. It's a lifestyle and a choice. So when people say to me, I was eating raw for a really long time and then I fell off. Like, how do you fall off? Either you eat raw, you don't eat raw.
Well, there's so much information out there. There's the all these different diets, the
It's
no
very
carb
simple.
diet,
It's very simple. Everybody, not everybody, everybody is exactly the same. We need essential fatty acids and essential amino acids to heal, regenerate, and rejuvenate. And when we don't have enough to do all three, the first thing that your body does is digest food. And everything else suffers. So you don't heal, you don't regenerate, you don't rejuvenate. But if you eat enough to digest your food, take more nutrition out of the food so you can regenerate and rejuvenate, you can anti-age. So when I talk about eating raw food, what I'm saying is look for the things that the body needs. Essential fatty acids, that means basically essential fats are cold pressed fats. So that's cold pressed olive oil, cold pressed nut oils, avocado oils, as long as they're cold pressed.
and cold pressed is what?
It means that they don't use heat.
Okay.
It's like it
Which
says.
which robs the vitamins, right?
Right.
When you heat something.
It's not that it robs the vitamins. Technically what it does is it breaks the bonds between the vitamins and the minerals. And if you take calcium, you're supposed to take vitamin D and magnesium.
Right.
Otherwise, your body doesn't recognize the calcium and it doesn't absorb it.
Okay.
It's that way, not just with calcium, but with everything that's in foods.
We have a picture of your book back here.
Okay.
We'll have a link up to it as well called
Okay.
A Healthy You, where you go into details about what people can buy. If somebody wanted to start, is it affordable, and what should they do first? Like, what kinds of foods?
Oh yeah, I mean it's affordable if you make your own stuff. It's way affordable because you can buy in bulk. Raw nuts, raw legumes, and legumes are like chickpeas and lentils.
Love that.
And then soak them instead of cook them.
Okay.
So it's really cheap if you do it the right way. And by the way, I'm talking about tartare. You could do fish and steak tartare, carpaccio, bresaola, prosciutto. Bresaola and prosciutto are cured; they're air dried and cured with salt. And so, there's plenty of stuff out there. But in this day and age, you can get raw pickles. The pickles that they put on the shelf in the supermarket are not raw. They are cooked in the jar. Milk, it's pasteurized. And there's a reason for that. Because raw milk goes bad very quickly.
Right.
So the dairy industry is saying, this is so much better for you because there's no bacteria. I don't know anybody who's died from, bad milk. They say there has been a couple people, but how many people die from lactose intolerance a year? And that's from basically pasteurizing milk. But, everybody has a different theory. And as I say, I have a PhD, but it's honorary, so I'm not a doctor.
Okay.
But, I just have certain beliefs, and those beliefs are if you can get things the closest to God as possible.
Which makes sense. Which makes a lot of
total
sense. And you go into more detail in your book, which is very accessible and really very easy to understand. I think
this book was funny because this was off of my Fox show.
Yes.
Named by
which
Roger
is where
Ailes.
where we first met. Actually, we were on certain news panels together.
Yes, we were.
Yes.
So, this was more, what I did was I incorporated, it was very funny. Every doctor came on my show, the last line was, well, it's all about what you eat. Everybody, whether they were talking about breast cancer or they were talking about losing your hair, it all came down. The very end of the interview would be, well, it all has to do with the food you eat. So, when I threw the pebble in 2004, that became this ripple, that became this wave, that became this monsoon, a tsunami. I was hoping that would happen. But you're just one voice shouting into the wind against all these big companies who are telling you you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. But when you know you're right, and you're a walking billboard for it.
Yes.
I mean, I'm damn good for 80.
Yeah. No, stop it. You're damn good for 20. I'll tell you that. We do something called the Quick Five. But before we start that, I just thought it was so interesting that you use olive oil for so many different...
Everything.
For everything.
I always carry it with me because I can eat it. I can moisturize with it. I can get my feet into my shoes with it. I mean, there's so much you can do.
And it tastes so good, too.
Yes. A cold pressed.
Cold pressed.
Because if it's not cold pressed, your skin won't absorb it.
All right, so how does someone find cold pressed?
It says it on the label.
It says it, okay.
Unfortunately, it's the more expensive one. So, and by the way,
but less expensive than some of the moisturizers out there.
And less expensive than getting sick. So that's true too. But always throw it in your refrigerator to make sure it's olive oil. Okay. Olive oil will turn to slush. It'll get slushy but not frozen.
Okay.
But if they throw crap in it like nut oil and stuff like that, nut oils won't get slushy. So before you open it, make sure it's cold pressed olive oil.
That's a good trick. Okay, if you could read minds, who would you want to read?
Donald Trump.
Yeah, he'd be an interesting person to read.
I want to know where he's going.
Yeah.
What his vision is, because it seems to be very crowded and convoluted. He throws roadblocks out there so people can't really find out what he's doing or where he's going. I want to know. I want to know what my future is, because it seems my future and the future of New York is really dependent on Donald's goodwill.
What he's thinking, What would you do if you were invisible for a day?
I'm not sure I'd want to be invisible for. I'd rather fly.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'd rather fly. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe
you don't get in much trouble. I think too much information is not good either. Sometimes it's just nice to live in your own world. I don't want to know if somebody doesn't like me or that they're scheming to hurt me.
I always think if I could be invisible for a day, I'd be in some jewelry store and just help myself to all the beautiful baubles. But that's enough about me.
That's it.
What trait do you like most about yourself?
I'm honest.
Yes.
And very opinionated.
And direct.
Very opinionated.
Very direct and down to earth. I just want to share that with everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah. What is the best part of
I love animals.
Yes. What is the best part of being a part of your family?
I think the best part was being the fireman's daughter, and my mom is just great. I think having my parents was just the highlight of my life, and my sisters. I got to tell you. The bad part about being in my family is all the men died very young. My father died at 52. My brother died at 50. His father at 49. My mom's father at 47. My mother's two brothers in the late 30s. So, we're a household of women, really. But, I see families fighting and my heart breaks because I don't know what I would do without my sisters. They're my strength, my mother. I know I can always go home. If this doesn't pan out, I can always go home, and it's always nice to know you have a plan B.
That's true, and you are very lucky because there are people that really don't
can't
feel
go
that
home.
way, and for understandable reasons. If someone made a movie about your life, would it be a drama, a comedy, a romantic comedy, action film, or science fiction?
Unrequited love story.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah.
I lost the love of my life.
Oh.
And I would. That's the story of my life.
Have you ever thought about writing it and having somebody?
I can't even think think about him without my heart breaking. So, yeah, no.
So not right now. I am so glad you came to join us.
I'm so glad you had me on.
It was thrilling, and I adore you. And
You as
thank
well.
you for joining
Thank
us,
you.
and we look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.